Greetings, Namo Buddhaya. In this module number 19, I shall be talking to you about Buddhism during the Śuṅga period. Pushyamitra Śuṅga, who is generally regarded as the symbol and leader of the Brahmanical revival, founded the Śuṅga dynasty around 184 BCE, after killing the last Mauryan king Brihadratha. His extensive empire with its capital at Patliputra included the cities of Ayodhya, Vidisha and Vidarbha Birad and extended in the south up to the river Narmada. The accounts in the Ashokavdan, the Divyavdan and Tarnath's history of Buddhism also show him as being in control of Jalandhar and Shakkal in the Punjab. Though there were 10 Śuṅga rulers, the empire rapidly disintegrated after the death of Agnimitra, the second king of the dynasty. Architectural monuments such as the stupa at Sanchi and Bharhut were renovated and further improved during the Śuṅga period. The Mathura school of art also flourished during this period. Though Pushyamitra is known to have revived the supremacy of Brahmanical religion and re-established animal sacrifices, yajnas, that had been prohibited by Ashoka. Later Śuṅga emperors were seen as amenable to Buddhism. Some scholars have suggested that given the rather decentralized and fragmentary nature of the Śuṅga state, most of the dedications were private or collective rather than the result of royal patronage by the Śuṅgas. However, generally it is agreed that the orthodox Śuṅga emperors were not intolerant towards Buddhism and that Buddhism prospered during the time of Śuṅga emperors. Pushyamitra Śuṅga has been accused in some of the Buddhist texts of having persecuted the Buddhists. After seizing the throne, his re-establishment of the sacrificial ceremonies of Vedic Brahmanism and performance of 2 Ashwamedh yajnas is viewed as an anti-Buddhist activity of a king who was a fundamentalist Brahmin. Harprasad Shastri has suggested that actions such as discouraging the animal sacrifices and employment of Dhamma Mahamatas by Ashoka for the propaganda of his policies were particularly resented by the Brahmins because they had destroyed their reputation. It has been further alleged that as a consequence of the propagation of Buddhism during the reign of the Mauryas, the Brahmanical social and religious order was disturbed. Thus, the end of the dynasty of the Mauryas at the hands of Pushyamitra Śuṅga is seen as a victory of anti-Buddhist Brahmanical forces leading to the loss of what Buddhism had gained earlier. Thus, for example, Gargi Chakravarti has alleged that even if the atrocities committed by Pushyamitra as reflected in the Divyavdan are exaggerated, still the acute hostility and tensions between Pushyamitra and the monks cannot be denied according to her. In order to critically examine the different textual references that talk of the so-called anti-Buddhist activities of Pushyamitra Śuṅga, it would be worthwhile here to take a first-hand look at the details as given in the various sources. The most important and perhaps the earliest reference is from the Sarvastivada text of the 2nd century of the Common Era, the Divyavdan, and its constituent, the Ashokavdan, where it is said that, to quote, the king set out for Kukut Aram, monastery at Patliputra, slaughtered the monks and destroyed the residence of the Sangha. Applying such methods on the way, he arrived in Shakkal. Here he issued the edict, whoever brings me the head of a Shraman, I shall reward him with a dinar, a gold piece. Then Yaksh Krimish, having seized an enormous mountain, crushed King Pushyamitra along with his army. Unquote. The Vibhasha, a Sarvastivada Vaibhashik text dated in the 2nd century of the Common Era, points out that Pushyamitra, to quote, set fire to the sutras, destroyed stupas, razed sangharamas, and massacred bhikshus. In the frontier country, he destroyed 500 sangharamas, gradually destroying the law of the Buddha. He reached the Bodhi tree. The deity of that tree killed him and slew his army as well as the troop of the Asuras, unquote. This story is also repeated in the Shari Putra Paripricha, a Mahasanghic text translated into Chinese between 317-420 of the Common Era. But the story in this text shifts the anti-Buddhist operations of Pushyamitra Śuṅga from northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent to Bihar in the east. According to this text, to quote, the king attacked the monastery Kukuttaram and destroyed more than 800 sangharamas and stupas, saying, if I obtain a head of a religious, I will give 3,000 pieces of gold as a reward. The Yaksha Krimish, grasping a huge mountain in his hand, crushed the king and his 4 army units with it, unquote. The Arya Manjushri Moolkalp, which belongs to the early medieval times, also talks about Pushyamitra's evil actions against Buddhism. To quote, having seized the east, Prachi Desham, and the gate of Kashmir, Kashmire Dwaram, he, the foul, the wicked, will destroy viharas and venerable relics, dhatuvar, and kill monks of good conduct. Having turned northwards, he will die, being killed along with his officers, unquote. Tarnath, the celebrated Tibetan Buddhist historian, mentions that, to quote him, the Brahman king Pushyamitra, along with other Tirthakas, started war and thus burnt down numerous Buddhist monasteries from the Madhya Desh to Jalandhar. They also killed a number of vastly learned monks. As a result, within 5 years, the doctrine was extinct in the north, unquote.